If we need more time, we can take more time, but let's see if we can do it in 10. Does anyone have enough readings?
They got one that's stapled.
Yeah, that's the one that's. There's this one, and this is the same one. It's just more zoomed in. So you're reading this one right here. Oh, P match twice. Yeah, it's all right.
sure that you answer the questions that are 1 through 8. You don't have to do section 3 yet. But just make sure you answer questions 1 through 8.
It's really what the fun is. It was literally something like YouTube. Just like you refuse to put your name down. I read all of it. Or you didn't read it. I made it.
Alright, now let's take 3 minutes again to talk amongst your table partners, see how your answers compare 1 through 8. Alright, and if you haven't got a chance to write that sentence yet, to create a sentence to explain the relationship between genes, chromosomes, DNA, and proteins, let's do that. So, 3 minutes to discuss, and then we'll go over as a class.
You didn't even write it. You didn't write the difference.
I said yes. The question is, are there differences between chromosomes and males and females? Yes. I know there are. Actually,
You literally just prove on that.
doesn't one have double X, doesn't one have
Yeah, if you end up being wait, case. If you end up being a male, you get double X. Or you get XY.
females, you didn't write that?
You didn't write it either.
Once one of them gets back.
Or start the PS1 grind again.
It's
Alright, on your learning tracker for your or page 2, this is where we're going to be adding some of the models. And if you're looking at your tissue task that we have, we're going to be modeling out these concepts. Alright,
Which one?
there's 2 of them.
There was. Maybe they took 2 of them, but there's another one.
Alright, so starting off with modeling chromosome, because that's actually going to be the easiest one to model. There's 2 ways to draw that. One, you could have it with the DNA replicated, and then the other one, you could have it just by itself. So here's it by itself, all right, with our centromere in the center, all right, and then if it's gone through DNA replication, it would look something like this. So this would be before, and this would be after what phase?
M phase.
What phase? Alright, so we have G1, S, G2, and M phase. Alright, so if we say G1, that's growing, right? Have we doubled any DNA at this point? No. Alright, what about the G2 phase? So that's not also right. So then we're left with the S phase and the M phase. During the S phase, we're synthesizing the DNA. So before synthesis, after synthesis. Mitosis, though, we would end up back here because now we have 2 cells that are identical, right?
Yes.
So this is chromosome. Let's say that this is chromosome 9. Okay, we're just going to put a number to it. How many chromosomes or pairs of chromosomes do humans have? Yep. Pairs.
23.
All right. You got to be careful with when you're listening, or especially when you're reading these questions, what it's asking for in particular. So there are 23 pairs. This is chromosome 9 for this example. To model the gene, I would put something like this. A segment of this DNA, because chromosomes are condensing DNA. A section of this would be our gene. All right. Now, when you think of genes, what do you think of? Not what you're wearing. Not the pants. All right. Things that you inherit from your parents. What are some characteristics or things that you inherit from your parents?
Hair color.
Okay. Eye color, hair texture. All right. Skin tone, the shape of your nose. All of these are traits. And these traits are instructed by genes. So we're going to take an easy one. We're going to do eye color. All right? So the gene here on chromosome 9 is for eye color. So that's the gene. Now, we know that there are a lot of different eye colors, correct? What would that be? In the terms that we've looked up, what would that be? Allele. All right, so the allele for this would be what color? Brown. Yeah, let's just say brown.
Where did you see
I don't think you say green. Well, we will go through that. So now here's the thing. If the cell has gone through DNA replication, that means the gene would be found on both ends. What color or what allele gene would this be? Brown. What allele color would this be? It would also be brown, all right? They're just doubling, they're not separate. Now, this is chromosome 9, okay, and we said that there are pairs. So that means that this chromosome, let's say that it's, for me, is my dad's. All right? So in my chromosomes, I've got one from dad. That means I also had to get one from mom. Now my mom has green eyes. So my dad has brown eyes and my mom has green eyes. Okay? Now, within my DNA, right, I would have both. I would have the brown eye and I have the green eye. And here's my next question for y'all. Is, if this is in my skin cell, do I have genes for brown eyes and green eyes in my skin cells?
Yes.
Alright, I hear some no's and I hear some yeses.
Yes.
I hear some possibly. So that covers the whole spectrum. For those that are saying no, why are you saying no? So think about it for a second, maybe talk amongst your table partners. And then for those that say yes, talk about why it says yes. This is kind of the main point.
I have a question.
Alright, so I have an answer for you.
So like, you know, like, let's say someone's mom has green eyes, someone's dad has brown eyes.
Yes.
And their kid has green eyes, but they're not like the same kind of green as the mom. Like, why is that?
Because there are more genes that go into eye color than just one. Okay, so that's why you can have variations of hues of color. Okay? Yes.
This one.
How are some genes like directly passed? Like for example, the gene that I can't get it. So
And I will go through all of that with patterns of inheritance. So I don't want to go too much into it yet. Drew had a good question, is how do genes get directly passed down, and why does it, some always have to be expressed and some don't get expressed? We'll talk about that when we do patterns of inheritance, but it has something to do with the type of gene, whether or not it's dominant or recessive. Alright, so I just want to leave it at that. But for my question here is, if this is my skin cells, does it have the genes for eye color? And the correct answer should have been yes. Alright, it did. So why doesn't my skin cells have green or brown hues to it?
There's only some parts of the head that
Exactly. It's the expression of the gene that matters. Because remember what we said, when it came to muscle cells, skin cells, nervous cells, and everything. When it comes to DNA percentage, how much DNA is shared? 100%. So all of the DNA is the same. It's the expression of that matters. All right. So for mom and dad within me, and this is my skin cells, I have the genes for this. However, they're not being expressed. Now, if I got to my irises, then yes, they would be expressed. So that I have brown eyes. Okay. So the gene is the eye color. The allele is the variation of that, whether it be brown or green or blue or whatnot. All right. So modeling that is important. Here's a couple other models that if you wanted to sketch them out, you could. You have your chromosome. Now we know that this has gone through DNA replication because there's two of them. This gene here, gene 1, would be the same, should have been the same. But here it's showing that there's the homologous chromosomes. So homologous pairs means that it's the same pairs. These are homologous pairs. They're on chromosome 9, so they're the same length, and they have genes located in the same area. So if you want to put somewhere in here that is homologous, you can do that. So they have to be pairs in order to be homologous. They have to have the genes in the same locations. Do they have to have the alleles, or do they have to have the same alleles to be homologous? No, they don't have to be the same alleles. They just have to have the gene in the same location. So then we ask our question, what is a chromosome? And it's a what?
It's like a combination of a bunch of, like it's a bundle of genes.
It's taking the DNA and it's condensing it.
Mhm.
Alright, so normally DNA is all scattered throughout your nucleus. Alright, it makes it very easy to do protein synthesis that way. But to replicate the DNA, or to get ready to split it in half through mitosis, it's easier to condense it and make it organized. And that's why it's so important to condense it, because it makes it easier to go through mitosis and less likely to result in a mistake in the DNA. Can people have, though, more than 46 chromosomes?
Yes.
Yes. What would the result of this be? Right. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of genetic disorders that can go. The most common one that we think about is Down syndrome. How many chromosomes do human somatic cells have? 46. Now, what I want to do is this. So we have a somatic cell, and we have a gamete. And I want to do some chromosome counting. All right, so the number of chromosomes, we just said that somatic cells have how many? 46. What is the number for a gamete, though? 23. It is half the number. So remember, 46 is equal to 2n. Gametes are equal to 1n. Once again, we're modeling this. So counting the chromosomes in a somatic and gamete. What about the type of chromosomes? So in the definitions here, just for reference, sister chromatids are when this happens. When they've gone through DNA replication, you won't ever have to count chromatids. You will have to count chromosomes though. This is how many chromosomes? 1 or 2, or 1, right? This is 1. How many chromosomes is this?
1.
This is 1. This is still just 1. Why is it 1? Because we've doubled the DNA contents, but it's still 1. It's like I blew up a balloon twice as big.
We're putting this on the
Yes, you should be putting this modeling in on page 2, so that you can have this to reference as you go through the next couple lessons. Alright, so if you haven't done this yet, make sure you do that. But you're modeling, so what about, so we have 2 types of chromosomes. We have autosomal chromosomes and we have sex chromosomes. And we need to know the count for this. Now I want you to make the distinction. Is a chromosome and cell the same thing? Definitely not, right? Chromosomes are within cells. So for our gamete, let's start with this one first, with the sex chromosomes. How many sex chromosomes does a gamete have? Think about it before answering just right off the bat, okay? Now, the range that you can have is from 0 to 46, all right? What would be some answer choices that we have? So what's 20?
23.
All right, so we're saying 23, all right? Anyone else want to say anything else besides 23? How many sex chromosomes are in a gamete? So we have 1 as a 23 as an answer choice. We have 1 as an answer choice. Anybody else want to say anything besides 23 and 1? 16. Okay, 16. So our choices are 1, 16, and 23. Why 16? Because it's... Okay, so we're going to eliminate 16 off the bat. So now we're left with 1 and 23. Now one of these is the correct answer. What do we think would be...
Probably 1. Probably Casey said.
Because Casey said.
I mean,
So we remember we can't use that as a reasoning. So let's think back to when it comes to understanding what chromosomes are in relation to what they define for us. So 23, Drew, would you like to explain why you came up with 23?
Because it's half of 46, and you get 2 points each.
Okay, so that is true in the sense of the number of chromosomes.
oh, wait, now I get it.
But the sex chromosome, there's only you only have 2 sex chromosomes, okay? If you're a somatic cell. So if you're a gamete cell, you would have how many? 1. All right, so for when it comes to sex chromosomes, you have 1, because the sex chromosomes are XX if you are what? Female.
Oh, yeah, female.
And then if you are XY, you are male.
Wait, is autosomal like the same between both genders?
Exactly. Both sexes. Alright? Autosomal chromosomes are the same between both sexes. So chromosome 9, is that a sex chromosome or an autosomal chromosome? Which one is it?
Sex.
Okay, so is that our only, that would mean that that is what determines male and female, right? And I said that this is dad and this is mom, okay? This is my dad and my mom, okay? Now, what did I inherit from my dad? Okay, yes, that, for that gene. But what would I have inherited as a sex chromosome? The Y chromosome. And when you look here and you see here's our X and our Y, are they the same length? No. So chromosome 9, is that our sex chromosome? No. What you're basically telling me when you're saying that the sex chromosome was chromosome 9 is that eye color is determined by sex. We know that that's not the case, right? So this chromosome here, we'll look at some more examples of sex-linked traits, but chromosome 9 is an autosomal chromosome. Another way to tell is that it's the same length. It's a homologous chromosome. X and Y chromosomes here are not homologous chromosomes. So for a female, their chromosome X would look something like this. One came from mom. Where did they get the other X chromosome from? From their dad. Because every single person, every single human has an X chromosome. At least one. Okay? From mom. Alright? Now, if you're female, you got an X from mom, and you got an X from dad. Okay? Males, we got an X from mom, and we got a Y from dad. And the Y is shorter. Alright, now I'm drawing this pre-synthesis, right? This model shows it post-synthesis, okay? Where the Y's are shorter. So when it comes to percentages of, who did you inherit more DNA from?
Your dad?
Mom or dad?
Probably your mom.
Depends, right? Because if you are female, you got equal numbers, right? But if you're male,
You got more from your mom.
you got more from your mom. So you actually inherit more DNA from your mom. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Like that. It'll look something like that. So, for a gamete, we have one sex chromosome. Let's say it's for me, right? I would have either X, a cell that's X, a cell that's X, a cell that's Y, or a cell that's Y. Alright? And so that would be my gamete options. One cell has an X. Now, what about the other 22? Well, that would be autosomal chromosomes. Okay? So, what about sex chromosomes when it comes to somatic cells? Take some time to think about it, especially now that we've answered this one on 1. What do you think this one would be? From 0 to 46. Alright, so take some time. Alright, discuss it if you need to discuss it. Okay? Anyone want to volunteer an answer? Alright, Julie. Alright, we got 2. Anybody else besides 2? Anyone want to explain why the answer is 2?
Because you have 1, if you have 23, so it only makes sense that if you have 46, you should have 2, because it's twice as many.
Alright, exactly. So you have 2. So you're using this as your rationale. If a gamete has one, a somatic cell will have to have two. Okay? So, skin cells. Alright? Going back to our skin cell example here. Does it have two sex chromosomes? Yes or no? Yes. Yes. If we're saying that a somatic cell has two, and we just flip out or substitute somatic for skin, it would also have two chromosomes. So then we have 46. So if only two are sex chromosomes, what does that make the other ones? Autosomal. So how many autosomal chromosomes does a somatic cell have? 44. 44. Because 44 plus 2 equals 46. What about for gametes? How many autosomal chromosomes do they have? 22. Now, how many homologous pairs does a somatic cell have?
11.
Alright, that's that? That's it? Alright. So, we have, what were some options that we said? Alright, so you said 23. Okay, so 23. What else? So, how many somatic, or how many homologous chromosome pairs do we have in a somatic cell? So we have 23 as an option. Any other options? Okay? If I said you were half right, what is half right about this?
Because
That 23 pairs of homologous chromosomes is half right when it comes to somatic cells. So what is a homologous chromosome? It's one that is the same length and has genes in the same location, right? Now, autosomal chromosomes are homologous chromosomes. So that's 22 automatically, right? So why is 23 an answer? Sex chromosomes can't always be homologous. But when would a sex chromosome be homologous to make it 23? When it's a female. So when it's a female, it's 23. But when it's a male, it's 22.
So they have an extra chromosome.
They don't have an extra chromosome. They don't have two chromosomes that are the same length, which is our X and our Y, which is our sex chromosome. All right. So these are cells, gamete and somatic. These are chromosomes within the cell, and it's important to make that distinction. Is that sex chromosomes are not the same thing as sex cells. I will be asking you to tell me how many sex chromosomes there are, and I will be asking you how many sex cells there are. Because if I ask you sex cells, I could be asking meiosis, how many sex cells do we end up with? And the correct answer would be 4, right? But I would ask how many sex chromosomes do each of those end up with, and you would say 1. Because the gamete only has half the number. Alright? So we define the terms homologous, sister chromatids, autosomal, and sex chromosomes. Are there differences between the chromosomes of males and females? And the answer is yes. Alright, females have XX, males have XY. Alright, it's not X or Y, it's that females are XX, males are XY. So now we need to define our sentence. That includes genes, chromosomes, DNA, and protein. Alright? And this is going to be a major part that we talk about. So, let's break down our terms. So, when it comes to genes, that's an easy one to do, and that is what?
They're traits.
Alright, so the gene is what?
Traits.
What about traits?
Like the DNA behind the trait.
So, genes are
DNA threads.
instructions. So, what do you mean behind? Like, they're making the trait, or
They like program the.
okay, they're programming it. So, instructions, codes. So, instructions for what?
Trait.
Traits, alright. But traits isn't one of the words that we're trying to define here. So how can we instill other terms into this sentence structure, which is a good sentence structure. I want to make sure that you're aware. That is what we're trying to get to.
Genes
What
build
else?
DNA.
Say again?
Genes build DNA.
Genes build DNA. So if we look here, we see that genes, and then we see this DNA.
Yeah.
So this is what of DNA?
A part.
A segment of DNA. Alright, so it's not that genes make DNA, it's that if we look at a strand of DNA, a section of that DNA is gene. There is a gene. So I'm gonna erase this just for a second, but it's gonna be gene is a segment of DNA found where? On a specific chromosome. Alright? We see this with this example with our chromosome 9. Here's our gene. This is on chromosome 9. We know that there are 23 pairs of chromosomes. This is just chromosome 9. So, gene is a segment of DNA found on a certain chromosome. Now, if we added in instructions for a trait, but how do we get that trait to show? By using proteins, okay? So, remember, what did we say? DNA is the instructions, right? But what does the job for the cell? It's not the DNA, it's the proteins. So, a gene is a segment of DNA found on a certain chromosome. Instructions for a trait expressed by a specific protein. And what we're going to be doing after lesson 6 is doing this process of going from a gene going to protein. We have 8 minutes left. And this video is 7 minutes long.
Scribe makes step-by-step guides for any process with AI. You know what's terrifying at work? When you start a new job and there's no training, none of the processes.
Let's do this one. This is only 6 minutes. So, don't pack up exactly. What I want y'all to do is as you watch this one, you can add to your learning tracker. But we've got 8 minutes left, or 7 minutes left, so 6 minutes. Well, it should be enough time to finish this video on haploids and diploids. So to hit home more about what we've been talking about with our somatic and our gametes.
Haploid and diploid. You may have heard that haploid means one set of chromosomes and diploid means 2 sets of chromosomes. Maybe you memorized that. But what does that really mean? What does it mean when we say sets of chromosomes? The inspiration for this video was from a quiz question we posted a while back. You can pause the video right now, read it, and try.
Alright, so just going through this, it says, generally of humans, after meiosis 1, daughter cells will be blank with blank number of chromosomes. After meiosis 2, daughter cells will be blank with blank number of chromosomes. So let's just go through and cross out the ones that we know aren't correct. Now this one's kind of a tricky question because we see, or I've erased it now, but after meiosis 1, the daughter cells will be how many chromosomes? Will they be diploids or haploids? Remember, they're going to be haploids. Okay, and then the number of chromosomes would be 23. So we can eliminate these diploids. So now we're left with 46 and 23, and let's see what we get.
And to answer it, most of the responses were actually not correct with this question. And the answer revealed is this one. There are two major reasons we think.
Alright, so remember, it's 23 because we just have twice the amount of DNA in those 23 chromosomes, but it is still 23.
This question was missed a lot. The first reason, understanding how chromosome numbers change after mitosis and meiosis, is challenging for students. We have a video to help understand how generally each human cell would have 23 chromosomes after meiosis 1, and also 23 chromosomes after meiosis 2. But the second reason this question was challenging is that these terms, haploid and diploid, tend to get misunderstood. Hence, this video. When we say diploid cells have two chromosome sets, we mean having two versions of each chromosome type. In most cases, if you saw a display of a person's chromosomes, you would generally see 46 chromosomes, but you would notice there are 23 types of chromosomes. These first 22 types fall into the category of autosomes, which means these are chromosomes that are not sex chromosomes. The last type is reserved for the sex chromosomes. So 23 types of chromosomes. With each type of chromosome, you will see there are two chromosomes. One chromosome from one biological parent, one chromosome from the other. In total, that's 23 chromosomes total from one biological parent, 23 chromosomes from the other biological parent. That means 23 chromosomes, one set, comes from one biological parent, and 23 chromosomes, one set, comes from the other biological parent. That would be two sets, 46 total chromosomes. When we say a diploid cell has two sets of chromosomes, we mean that it has two versions of every chromosome type, one version from each biological parent. In humans, diploid cells are body cells, like a stomach cell or a muscle cell. A haploid cell only has one version of each chromosome type, so it just has one chromosome set. It would only have one chromosome of each type. Generally, that'd be 23 total chromosomes in humans. In humans, egg cells and sperm cells, which are known as gametes, are haploid cells. They each only have one set of chromosomes. And that's important because if an egg cell and sperm cell combine, they make a diploid cell called a zygote. The zygote has two sets of chromosomes, one from the egg cell and one from the sperm cell. And that diploid zygote will divide by mitosis to make 4 diploid cells. On the topic of mitosis in humans starts with a diploid cell. The two daughter cells that result after mitosis are identical, and both diploid cells. In humans, mitosis starts and ends diploid. In meiosis in humans starts with a diploid cell. The starting cell is different in females and males. This cell does meiosis 1, and if you've seen our meiosis video, you'll review that homologous chromosomes are separated in meiosis 1. Now the daughter cells won't have two sets of chromosomes anymore. They'll only have one set of chromosomes. Therefore, after meiosis 1, the daughter cells are both haploid. These daughter cells then do meiosis 2, and the sister chromatids are now separated. The result is still only one set of chromosomes in each cell. The result of meiosis 2 is 4 daughter cells that are haploid. Now, a few points to add with the terms haploid and diploid. Point number 1, remember, this is a chromosome, and this is a chromosome. This one, though, has 2 chromatids, it's replicated. But having another chromatid doesn't change the number of chromosome sets. So the number of chromatids doesn't make something haploid or diploid. Point number 2, you'll often see this 2n or n thing. In this notation, n is the number of chromosomes in a set. Because diploid means 2 sets, it is represented as 2n. And because haploid means 1 set, it is represented as just n. Point number 3, in most cases, humans have 46 chromosomes. So the diploid number of chromosomes